rapid population growth. People in New England
live longer.
Why was there a lack of development of towns in the Chesapeake region?
Farming.
People came individually.
They just come by themselves, not with families, so it's hard to develop towns.
Of course, I'd forget all the dates when I woke up. The news would
Forgot them all when you woke up.
That's an epic.
I didn't go through this.
What was the economy of the Chesapeake based on?
Farming. Large
It was
farming.
like a one-crop economy. So they didn't. Who did they mostly interact with their one-crop economy?
Themselves.
Merchant.
England. So they had closer ties to England because they were directly trading their cotton, tobacco with Europe and didn't feel the need to like create a community themselves. And the farms tended to be very far apart. Glorious Revolution of 1688 and 1689 led to what?
William and Mary.
Yes. What was the impact of that on the colonies? Yes. It led to greater colonial autonomy, a victory for colonial democracy. Remember the Dominion of New England? Sir Edmund Andros is overthrown after that. They get to run their own show. Who symbolized the spirit of the Enlightenment?
Ben Franklin.
You can just shout it out.
Okay.
Okay.
What is the battle that ended the Revolutionary War?
Yorktown.
Yorktown.
That was just a general.
What is the significance of the Battle of Saratoga?
French helped the Americans.
French decided to help.
He's too fast.
Slowly. Cut him
Stop
from
thinking so quickly.
crazy.
What is the belief that each member of Parliament represents all Englishmen, no matter where they live?
Virtual
Representation.
Where were you on that, Andrew?
Give me 2 more seconds.
Why is the Stamp Act Congress significant?
First reading of
First
Intercolonial.
intercolonial meeting. Also, what did the colonists learn from their actions following the Stamp Act Congress?
if they
If they come together, they actually can affect English policy. What did the Great Awakening, intercoastal trade, and British manufactured goods have in common?
Unified culture.
It led to, and I got so good at Fun Run last night, I played for 3 straight months.
What?
With the strangers, because I don't have any friends. I'll totally beat you today.
No, you won't.
You didn't even tell me how to play. I didn't know I had razor blades and all this
It's
stuff.
not a complex game.
It'll help contribute to a common identity in America. Remember how we talked about how British manufactured goods actually led to a more distinct American identity, even though it sounds weird, because we're all using the same goods and things like that. And then the Great Awakening obviously brought us all together. Who am I? Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Who? Oh.
John
Who
Jay.
negotiated?
Haha.
The Federalists who advocated protective tariffs, a national bank.
Clinton.
What'd you say?
Hamilton.
Hamilton is correct. What else is that? Oh, we can do that. Oh, I just did that one.
Yes.
The author of the Virginia Resolution who led the opposition to Federalist rule in the House of Representatives during the
Madison.
1990s. Madison. The Federalist Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
John Marshall.
During his term, he greatly expanded the power of the federal government. That's John Marshall. Author of the Kentucky Resolution.
Jefferson.
Jefferson. The Federalists who advocated not declaring war in France. Filling courts with Federalist judges.
Adams.
Adams is correct.
Feelings.
This document jealously guarded state sovereignty at the expense of national power.
Articles of Federation.
What do the 3/5 provision and the Great Compromise relate to?
Slave.
Slave representation.
Yeah.
See.
This report recommended that the federal government assume remaining state debt.
Hamilton's report on federal debt. State
Credit.
Public
Public
credit.
credit. What's the report on?
This report suggested protective tariffs and industrial subsidies.
Report on manufacturing.
Yes. During this president's second term in office, foreign affairs became a much bigger focus.
Washington.
Washington. Sorry. This warned future presidents to avoid foreign entanglements. Farewell address. The significance of this court case is that the Supreme Court
Marbury versus Madison.
claimed the right of judicial review.
Glorious Revolution.
The one that expands over the state.
This president's foreign policy created more harm than good for the United States.
Embargo Act?
Jefferson.
Yeah.
Oh. By Jefferson.
Embargo's on the president.
Boston's wrong.
Listen to the question.
What were the Oh, I thought those were for me.
That's when the British Parliament
What were the results of War of 1812?
Respect from Britain, end of the Federalists.
Ended the Federalists. Respect from Britain.
Jackson became
Jackson
war
becomes
hero.
a hero. Rejuvenated American nationalism.
Yes.
It did not give a rebirth to the Federalist Party. This was mentioned that got rid of the Federalist Party. What treaty did Spain sell Florida to the United States for $5 million?
Adams Onis Treaty.
The economic revolution in the United States between 1810 and 1840 was one of blank rather than
Transportation.
distribution.
Yeah, I was right.
I'm probably gonna go.
As Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, this man emphasized the primacy of property and property rights. Marshall. This foreign policy, though bold, made little impression on the European powers. This charge grew out of the fact that Clay apparently threw his support to Adams.
I'm the rest of the question.
In this election campaign, great attention was paid to techniques to reach the
1840.
1828.
Yeah, 28.
1828, but it should say
Personal?
yeah.
Personality?
That's not what the answer is.
Oh.
Take a look at that one. It should say more attention was paid to like their personalities and their.
Because if it was tactics, wouldn't it be 1840? Because that was.
Yeah, I think that it's either traditional campaigning methods were used, but that was not until 1840. Great attention was paid to techniques to reach the masses.
That's kind of. Because common man.
The
I'll
grits.
tell you the answer.
I think that's C by the way she was pointing.
What was Andrew Jackson's attitude toward the Indians?
Kill them.
No.
Move them.
West of the
Push
Mississippi.
them west of the Mississippi River.
He killed them.
I'd like to kill them before he became president. We chased him into Florida. Remember? This crisis revealed that Southerners would not tolerate any federal policies
Nullification.
that threatened their interests. The nullification crisis. How did Andrew Jackson kill the National Bank?
By putting money in the pet bank.
He withdrew the federal deposits and put them in Pet Bank.
How many questions is the final?
Did she change the...
What did camp meetings on the frontier provide? Sense of community?
She changed it.
Why?
There's more.
Why is the Gates test worth so much more now?
What?
It's one for the event, one for the significance.
I put my studying in order of points I will receive.
That was
So you studied
stupid.
on the final review.
Yeah.
Well, if the dates are on the final review package, so you should be alright.
You got the dates right there.
I know, but like.
Could you repeat the question?
It's too hard.
Camp meetings on the frontier
68
provided
pounds.
what for the
Community.
frontier people?
Community.
We have a sense of community, there's more.
It's so
There's three.
Values.
But did it really? Because what happened at the camp meeting?
Ended up getting
Yeah, it
rowdy,
was like partying, rowdy behavior.
Prostitutes.
drinking.
Oh.
Wait, which frontier is this?
What frontier is this?
Like with the miners?
No, we're talking about camp meetings.
I'll be-
It's like a break away.
It did provide a rite of passage for young men and
Wrong
women,
frontier.
and it did create an emotional outlet.
Too predictable.
I can see that. If you correctly identify what happened in the year, but don't include the significance, you get 1 point.
What if you correctly include the significance but don't get the year right?
How can you know the
that
significance
happen?
of it?
No, but like, you think something happened in 1 year.
1815, embargo act happened, but you described the embargo act properly, you still get a point.
Wait, when did the embargo end?
1807.
Declaration independent for all things.
Shove that down your throat, Declan.
That wasn't on the thing, I don't think.
It's 1807. It was on the thing.
Oh, what were the proper agencies of reform in the 19th century?
Church and benevolent societies.
Dang it, lost another thing.
You're just slow, man. It's slow.
I don't know the significance of half
I just
of these,
learned
so
in
it
a
looks
more
like I'm gonna
moderate
fail
phase.
this part.
I don't know if I call that moderate.
What?
In the 1840s and 1850s, the largest number of immigrants to the United States came from which two countries?
Ireland and Germany. Speak
I
fast.
was 2 more seconds.
Too fast.
The Webster-Ashburton Treaty of 1842 settled a boundary dispute between
Maine and Canada.
Just Maine and
the United States and Canada over Maine and New Brunswick.
New Brunswick.
Canada.
Webster-Ashburton.
Anglo-Canadian.
Why did James Polk actually go to war with Mexico?
Expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted the Mexican cession, which is the southwestern portion of the United States. Why did he say he was going to war?
Because they were aggressive.
All right, you do need to know the which area of the country feels which way, north, south, west.
That's dumb.
You want me to go over those?
Yes.
Yeah.
Those would be easy ones.
No.
Favored a high protective tariff. North.
Come
I
on.
get confused if it's north or like north and west.
This is just north.
Wait, is there like no west on
There is. But the answer to that one is just north.
Could there be multiple ones?
Yes.
That's so annoying.
I know.
Yeah.
So, 1867.
Oppose the expansion of slavery into new territories. Would upset balance in Congress and morally inhumane.
South.
North.
North.
Had mixed reaction to the expansion of slavery into the territories. Issue was manipulated.
West.
West. Supported expansion of our borders, manifest destiny.
All.
All of them. Favored the lowering of the protective tariff. The tariff cost them too much when they bought manufactured
South.
And west.
You guys know these.
So combined over.
Come on, dude.
The opposed to federal money being used for internal improvements, had a good natural system of streams and rivers for transportation. Favored protective tariffs so industry would expand, hire workers, thus creating a market for their farm goods to feed the working class.
West.
West. West.
Because so they're farm goods. There you go.
Favored expansion of slavery to keep the congressional balance.
South.
South. Favored a cheap public land policy to encourage settlement, which then would increase their influence in forming federal government policy.
South.
West.
West. And south.
Oh. So. Yeah.
Opposed to cheap public land policy, did not want to lose immigrant labor source to frontier settlement.
North.
The era of good feelings was the period under which two presidents,
Monroe and Madison.
Madison and Monroe, and why is it called the era of good feelings?
One political party, National Republican.
What years?
1816 to 1824.
1860 to 1824.
I know because it's the only game. It's over.
What are the three main points of the Monroe Doctrine?
No more colonization, stay
No
out
more
of Europe
European colonization.
affairs.
America would stay out of like
The U.S. would not interfere in the affairs of Europe.
Europe should interfere in US affairs.
Any existing colonies could stay.
That's 3.
And Europe, well, there's actually 4. Europe must not interfere with any of the independent nations of the Americas. You can't colonize and you can't come over and conquer.
But then we can go.
Yeah, we can get all these arguments here.
Then we can go to Europe.
A significant effect of railroads on developing sectionalism in America was they tied together which two?
North and West.
Northwest and Northeast. When railroads first became established in the United States, they presented the most serious competitive challenge to what?
Steamboats. Canals. In which steamboats flowed.
What is the most successful of the canals?
Erie Canal. Then Panama. That's later.
What did the first Treaty of Paris do?
It gave the colonists the land of the Mississippi River. Got it, kicked the French out.
If I just put ended the French and Indian War, will I still get full points?
What?
If I just put the Treaty of Paris, ended the French and Indian War, will I still get full points?
No, give me 1.
Why?
Because you have to say why that's it.
That's what happened.
Yeah, that's what happened in the USA is what it did. What it
Wait,
did.
Jack, what year is it?
63.
No, there's 2 treaty phrases.
Or you could do 1763 proclamation.
Yeah, that's what I
Written
mean.
in
It's easier.
controlled action.
Isn't it the first one, right?
First. First one. Oh, accounts, yeah. Actions.
The terrible abomination just made the South really mad, right?
Yep.
So,
Treaty of Paris,
Treaty of Paris, the first one is
ended the
that
French and Indian War and gave the colonists the land from Mississippi River.
Oh. I gave Britain the land.
Who is the
but
one
we
essayist
were
who
part of
ignited the
Britain.
transcendental philosophy?
Thoreau.
The Seneca Falls Convention of 1848 was primarily concerned with whose rights?
Women's.
Nah.
According to this principle, settlers would determine whether a territory would have slavery.
Or squatter sovereignty. The other guy.
What did Kansas, Nebraska Act do?
That was like
The Kansas
slave
Nebraska Act said
savers,
Kansas and
slaves.
Nebraska would decide their popular sovereignty.
And it led to
Just
bleeding
caused a lot of
Kansas.
fighting, right?
Isn't it
Yeah,
the
then
free
like
soil
people from the
party?
south and people from the north flooded in there to vote their way, even though they didn't actually live there.
And was that the one with the like mini civil war? Like,
Bleeding Kansas.
All right.
You're on it.
Cool.
Jared.
Got this down.
What are you for, Sean?
Probably gonna be playing Proclamation.
Read Marbury versus.
Which, it's recording.
It's the first time Britain tried to interfere with American.
Despite the relative success of the Compromise of 1850 outwardly, inwardly there was continued dissatisfaction with the status of slavery. All the following are examples of this dissatisfaction surfacing in 1850 to 1854, except the publication of Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Could be. No.
That's it. Defiance of the fugitive slave laws by the North.
That was 1850.
Dred Scott decision.
Nah.
1857.
That one's a tricky one because it's the dates. Because all of them show tension. The only one of them didn't happen between 50 and 54, and that is Dred Scott.
So definitely.
What was the principal purpose for the Gadsden Purchase?
Expansion. So we can have a railroad.
The southern route for a transcontinental railroad. In the Kansas-Nebraska Act, Stephen Douglas attempted to set up territorial government on the basis of what?
Popular sovereignty.
This decision of the Supreme Court declared the Missouri Compromise unconstitutional.
Scott.
Dred Scott case versus
The
Stanford.
new Republican Party included all of the following groups except, did it include Free Soilers?
Yeah.
Did it include anti-slavery Democrats?
Yeah.
Did it include Northern Whigs? Did it include supporters of popular sovereignty? No.
The last which is it?
They did not, the
The-
Republican Party did not include people who support popular sovereignty. That's why Stephen Douglas was a Democrat.
Oh.
Because he was Confederate sovereignty.
We
Yeah.
switched.
What was Drake's consequence?
It destroyed the. It said that the federal government can't control slavery, so it destroyed Missouri Company.
Formal military hostilities between the United States and the Confederacy began when Lincoln did what?
Sent supplies to Fort Sumter.
Yep. Sent supplies to Fort Sumter.
Look at YouTube guy.
What was one disadvantage the North faced in the Civil War?
Railroad. Made the story.
It had to invade and conquer the South.
So strict.
It really is really-
And then have the generals.
What?
So you may actually get 100%.
Wow.
At the
Very
beginning
cool.
of the Civil War, Southern disadvantages included all but one of the following. A weak industrial base.
True.
Yes. Poorly trained military generals.
False. They had
Poor
lead.
internal transportation system. Severe shortages of liquid capital.
True.
Or
That's why they had to make the money thing.
the Southern disadvantage was not a poorly trained military general. They had a better military general.
It's like a double negative.
In the beginning, the Civil War in the northern viewpoint was being fought for what reason?
State sovereignty.
Keep
North.
keep them in the union.
Preserve the Union. Why was Andrew Johnson impeached?
Broke the
10-year
From the Tenure of Office Act. Court cases.
You should
First time Supreme Court ruled a state law unconstitutional.
no.
Marbury versus.
State law.
Oh, Fletcher
versus
versus
Maryland?
Fletcher versus.
Fletcher's versus Pack.
Fletcher versus
Dealt with the question of the powers of the states and Congress in regulating interstate commerce.
McCullough versus Maryland.
Gibbons versus Iger.
Ogden.
You shut up. You're screwing the recording up.
Marshall ruled that these people could keep their land as long as they wished. Jackson was known to say, he made his decision, now let him enforce it.
Worcester versus Georgia.
Cherokee Nation versus Georgia or Worcester versus Georgia. Marshall confirmed the implied powers of Congress by upholding the constitutionality of the Bank of the United States.
McCullough versus Maryland.
McCullough versus Maryland.
There you go.
McCullough versus Maryland.
Supreme Court acquires judicial review.
Marv versus Madison.
Dang, I tried to
Damn, that's the first question you ever.
Supreme Court upheld validity of a charter even though the charter had come from King George III.
Dartmouth versus Woodward.
Yeah.
Dartmouth College
Because
versus
it's college.
Senate.
That's the whole
I'm gonna
final.
wrap this.
How many questions are we?
80.
Oh.